All right, here's my mic check, my audio check. Here it comes. Oh yeah, it's working. It's working. Very good. Okay, guys. All right, folks. Welcome to the show. Ew. Well, is it possible that Von Helton was right for once? I haven't watched his whole presentation, but for what I've kind of skimmed through and looked at very briefly, he might be onto something. I know, I know what I have an opinion on it, of course, but I'm just wondering if this is the first time ever that Von Helton's opinion is correct. So let's get right into it and find out. Go, man, go.
Alrighty, folks. There's a headline. Arab historian admits there is no Palestinian people.
Aha.
No Palestinian people. Now that's a bombshell in relation to what Trump is doing in the Middle East right now. And of course, you've got the Muslims all in an uproar because of it.
Okay, for context, this is 8 years ago, May 14th, 2018. May of 2018, and I need to get this. There you go. May of 2018. Did I say it enough times?
As some of you know, Trump has recently made Jerusalem the capital of Israel and has moved the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem. All right. And of course, the Muslims are all pissed off because they wanted Jerusalem. They wanted the capital of the Israelis. And they're not supposed to get it, as we will find out. Because, why? Oh, because there is no such thing as a Palestinian people. How can you want something that you say belongs to you when you never existed to begin with? Well, you can't. You can't. Okay, the Palestinian people don't exist. There is no pottery that is unique to Palestine. There is no clothing that is unique. No types of fabric. No language. There is nothing, absolutely nothing, that establishes the Palestinian people as a legitimate people. Nothing, absolutely nothing at all.
Mm-hmm.
Now they may have fabricated something in recent years, but I'm talking about back in perpetuity.
No.
In fact, the word Palestine was only mentioned twice, and that was by King Herod, a Jew working for the Romans. That's the furthest back I could find. Sorry, guys.
Actually, I found something. I found something very interesting. Let me just see if I can find it again here. Ah, here it is. Look. Let me just move this over here so I can follow along. Okay, so if you look over here, I did an AI research on on the subject. I'll go into that later. But I asked about the name Judea. So this is what AI came up with. From a linguistic and historical perspective, you are correct, because I asked, doesn't Judea convey a Jewish past from way back when? So they said, yeah, I'm correct. The word Judea literally conveys a Jewish past. It is the Latinized form of the Hebrew word Yehuda, Judah, which refers to one of the 12 tribes of Israel and the southern kingdom with its capital in Jerusalem. Historical evidence from the period you are researching shows that empires were acutely aware of this link and took specific actions to break it. Right? So it's Judah, it's Judea, and the enemies try to disassociate that word from the region. Okay, so Deliberate erasing of the name. Renaming the land. Following the Bar Kokhba revolt in 135 CE, Roman Emperor Hadrian renamed the province, not the country, not the state, the province of Judea to Syria Palestina. So this is after 135 CE, okay, a couple of thousand years ago. The motive. Historians widely agree that this was a punitive measure intended to sever the historical and symbolic connection between the Jewish people and the land. A symbolic enemy. The name Palestina was chosen as a reference to the Philistines, the ancient enemies of the Israelites who had long since vanished as a distinct group. Continuity of the name and people. Despite the Roman name change, the term Judea never existed. I would like to know if I've been talking all this time and you guys can hear me. I'm assuming yes. Well, there's no one watching right now, this particular moment. Despite the Roman name change, the term Judea never disappeared. Religious and academic texts. The name persisted in historical records, maps, and the Jewish and Christian Bibles. Continuous presence. While many Jews were killed or exiled by the Romans and later Byzantines, archaeological and genetic evidence confirms a continuous Jewish presence in the region throughout the period until the Arab conquest. Modern resurgence. Today, the Israeli government officially uses the term Judea and Samaria area to describe the region internationally known as the West Bank, specifically to emphasize this ancient historical link. Okay, so at this point, von Helton is correct. There is no Palestine. Let's go back to von Helton. No Palestine.
If you find something else, feel free. But that's the furthest back I could go. And it was only mentioned twice by King Herod. And why King James put that in the Bible, I have no fucking idea. But every other reference to that land calls it Judea, not Palestine. Okay, now the British call it Palestine, but the British call the Muslims Asians too, which is inaccurate also. Asians are yellow-skinned folks, okay? We use that term to identify them, but Asians are typically yellow-skinned. Muslims are not yellow-skinned. Muslims are brown-skinned.
That's a racist asshole.
So no, Muslims are not and never have been Asians. Never. They've never been Asian. Ever. Asians are yellow-skinned people with cute little eyes and shit. And they make comics all the time, little cartoon characters, whatever. But no. Muslims are not Asians. Okay, but what do the British call it? They call them Asians. Well, I'm sorry, that's not accurate. That's inaccurate. They don't have yellow skin. They have brown skin. They're not Asian. But anyways, the point I'm getting at is the British are wrong to call it Palestine. Okay, it is not Palestine. It's Judea. It has always been Judea.
Oh, I pressed the wrong button. I am so sorry. We will carry on right away. Damn.
For a reference from King Herod twice, where he called it Palestine. But like I said, every other reference to that land has been Judea. All right. Now that we got that out of the way, let's continue.
Hmm.
When the Ottoman rule ended, there was no Palestine national identity or political borders. It was all made up later. Arabs themselves say so, but the West isn't listening. One of the biggest, most stubborn, and costliest untruths of our time is the notion that the jihad waged by Arabs in the Palestinian Authority and Gaza against Jews in Israel is a national struggle of an indigenous people for independence. No matter the facts, the lie persists to the tune of billions of dollars in international aid and political prestige, which makes it increasingly difficult for anyone involved to admit that the whole thing is nothing more than a propaganda stunt. Unlike the fairy tale of the emperor's new clothes, everyone pretends to be blind and deaf when it is pointed out that the emperor is naked. In fact, if the emperor himself were to stand up and yell, "I am naked, folks, go home," the crowd would go on to compliment the non existent garments. Last week, the naked emperor did just that. Before the Balfour Promise, when the Ottoman rule ended, Palestine's political borders as we know them today did not exist, and there was nothing called a Palestinian people with a political identity as we know today. Historian Ab al-Ghani admitted on official PATV on November 1st. All right, let's stop right there. All right, so we have a Muslim who has done his homework and has actually researched this. There is no such thing as Palestine. There is no such thing as a Palestinian people. There just isn't. There just isn't. It is all a lie. All this crap. What did I tell you in my previous video? Fear not the Middle East, because it's all propaganda. It's all a lie. There is no such thing as Palestine. There never was. And poor Lebanon used to be a Christian nation. Google that shit too while you're at it. Lebanon used to be a Christian nation. Lebanon, the cedars of Lebanon. Have you heard that phrase? The cedars of Lebanon? The cedars of Lebanon were trees in Lebanon. They say, well, that's desert. That is now. But the cedars in Lebanon used to be one of the great wonders of the world. And what did the Muslims do when they took over Lebanon? Chopped them all down. Yeah, look it up. Look it up.
I'm almost tempted to, but I won't because it's going to take too long. But what I think I know about the cedars of Lebanon is that way back when, in the Phoenician times, during the Phoenicians were sea peoples. Anyway, the cypress we used to make boats, shipping vessels, and stuff like that. So we'll look into that, lady, if you want.
I dare you. I double dog dare you. The Muslims destroyed one of the great wonders of the world, the cedars of Lebanon. That's not my opinion. That is a fact.
Okay, then I gotta look at it. Fuck you, Vaughn Helton. Damn. All right, so cedars. I'm just gonna put in cedars. Oops. Yeah, you can see it there, right? Of Lebanon. Destruction. All right, so the iconic cedars of Lebanon have been systematically reduced from vast ancient forests to small, scattered, and vulnerable remnants due to thousands of years of exploitation, and now face near extinction from climate change, wildfires, and pests. Oh my God, that's horrible. There we go. Ancient exploitations. So this is nothing to do with the Muslims at this point. For millennia, Phoenicians, Egyptians, Assyrians, and others felled the cedars for shipbuilding, temples, and palace construction, long before the Muslims. Imperial use. The Roman Empire, no Muslims. The Ottoman Empire, Muslims, and British Empire used the timber for railways and construction. Long-term decline. Travelers as early as the 16th century reported the rapid depletion of the forests. What are you talking about, Von Helton? The Muslims came in there and wrecked it all. That is wrong. But I'm with you on the Palestine. Okay? So stop talking shit, talk truth. Fine. What do we do? Go.
Not only did they destroy the Cedars of Lebanon, they slaughtered all of the indigenous Christians in that area.
Bullshit,
Killed them all.
man.
This is why you have Bridget Gabrielle going around telling everybody what happened to her. She was a Christian that was in Lebanon at the time of the Muslim takeover. Wajiban, how did the Muslims take over? Did they have a huge war with Lebanon? No, actually quite the opposite. The Christians decided to let Muslims into their political environment. And when they did that, the Muslims seized power. And when the Muslims had a majority, they kicked all the Christians out of the government and then started slaughtering Christians in the street. That is a fact.
That's not a fact.
And you can Google that shit. All right. So what we have is we have a situation similar to that, but kind of different, because in this case, it's just a flat out lie. There is no such thing as a Palestinian people. There is no such thing as Palestinian pottery or garments or linens or a language. They don't have their own unique language. There's nothing, absolutely nothing that identifies Palestinian people as a legitimate people. Nothing, not a damn thing. Now, they have fabricated a bunch of shit since then, but you won't find anything back in King Herod's day. You won't. You just won't, because it didn't exist. The people did not exist. Now, well, Vaughn, if these so-called Palestinians are not Palestinians, what the fuck are they?
They are Arabs. What are they, class? They are Arabs. And this is Von Helton. Hey, class. Hey, class. But to answer Von Helton's question, what are the Palestinians? They are Arabs. Simple. Simple. Nothing else.
Well,
what does he say, though? Oops. What have I done? There we go.
Some of them are from Jordan. There's a few from Egypt. And there's a few from Saudi Arabia. But the bulk of them come from Jordan. And so we're gonna deal with that right now. Let me bring this up here. First of all, I got to.
Okay, it is my view. It is my personal view that Jordan is misnamed, because Jordan should be named Palestine, and in Palestine should be all those identify as Palestinians. That's my solution answer.
Hide that. Let's see which one have I got here. Okay, that's this. Which one is it? Ding, 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 ding. Okay, must be 3. Okay, there it is. All right, let's bring up number 3 here. Okay, I will get myself out of the way. There we go. All right, mandate for Palestine, July 24th, 1922. As you can see, Jewish Palestine, but that's what the Brits called it. They were wrong. It's not Palestine. It's Judea. But anyway,
bullshit.
This is an agreement back in 19.
See, this is where Von Helton knows nothing. Judea, on this little map of his, is only a part of that map. So to call it Jewish Palestine at the time is correct, because it was it was a British mandate for Palestine. And Palestine originally was all of it. Jewish Palestine and Transjordan, if you look underneath in the small writing here, it actually says Arab Palestine. So you got Jewish Palestine in the white, and you got Arab Palestine here in the yellow, brown. And that should be where it ended. Exactly there. You got your Jewish Palestine, there's the Jews, you got your Arab Palestine, which they called Transjordan at the time for the Arabs. End of story, two-state solution. Let's get on with history. But no.
1922, 1923, called the British Mandate, and this was an agreement between the Muslims in Great Britain that they would give give the Jews a place to live, and the Muslims agreed to this. Okay, it's not like the Muslims disputed this. This was an agreement between the Brits and the Muslims back in 1922, 1923, and the Jewish people would get themselves a homeland. All right, and so this was agreed to by the Muslims. So if there are Muslims in this land, in the white part here, Jewish Palestine, they're breaking the law. They're breaking a law that they agreed to back in 1923. Okay, because the Muslims agreed not to cross.
Not true. Not true. Not true. Not true. Not true. Not true. No one agreed to kick anybody out of anywhere. Just because it's Jewish Palestine didn't mean that it was only for the Jews. However, when it came to Arab Palestine, I've never seen any mention anywhere that it was also available to the Jews. So, in other words, in Jewish Palestine, Arabs were to be welcomed and treated as equal citizens, and in Arab Palestine, in a perfect world, it should have been the same way, but for Jews would be able to enter, be Palestinians, Arab Palestinians, or residents or citizens of Arab Palestine. If that's in a perfect world, it didn't happen that way because you cannot trust Arabs. Period. No hope, no maybe, no let's see, none of that. You cannot trust Arabs.
That center line there, all right, between Jewish Palestine and Transjordan. They promised never to cross that line. Well, guess what? There are Muslims in Israel right now. So every Muslim that's in Israel right now is literally breaking the law. Okay, this was.
Yes, get them out. Let's call the Israeli police and Israeli ICE. Get the Arabs out of Israel. They're breaking the law, according to von Helton. See the nonsense he comes up with?
Was established July 24, 1922, ratified in 1923, I believe it was, but it is called the British Mandate. Feel free to Google it if you doubt me. British Mandate, and the Muslims all agreed to it. Muslims all agreed to it. Okay, this was not something that was done sleight of hand or it was somehow trickery of some kind. No. The Muslims agreed to this. Okay, so every Muslim that's in Israel right now is breaking the law, a law that was established back in 1922. All right, so much for that. Okay, now you say, well, Bon, do you have any hardcore evidence? Certainly do. Certainly do. Let's bring this one up here. We'll just okay. Palestine never existed. There has never been a nation of Palestine. Okay, there was no Palestinian organization until 1964, and no Palestinian cause until 1970. The PLO, led by Arafat, began the movement of radical Islamic terrorism that exists to this day. Arafat's men murdered Israeli athletes at the 1972 Olympics in Munich, Germany. The Arabs living in Gaza are indigenous to Egypt. Those living in the West Bank are indigenous to Jordan. There is no indigenous Arab population to Israel. The Israelis are not colonizers. There is no occupied Palestinian land. When the Palestinians refer to a legal occupation, they are referring to the entire state of Israel. Okay, Palestinians led by Hamas to this day say their firing of the rockets at Israel will end when Israel ends the occupation. What this means is that Palestinians will stop waging war as soon as Israel ceases to exist. Peace is defined as every Jew vacating the land and allowing Arabs to control 100% of it, which is absolutely true. Absolutely true.
Absolutely.
All right, let's take a look at this one here. All right. The Palestinian people does not exist. The creation of a Palestinian state is only a means for for continuing our struggle against the state of Israel for our Arab unity. In reality, today there is no difference between Jordanians, Palestinians, Syrian, and Lebanese. PLO Executive Committee member Zaire Hussein, 1977. Okay, so there you have an actual member of the PLO telling you flat to your face, there is no such thing as a Palestinian people. It never was. Never was. It's all a lie. It's a scam. It's a scam, folks. It's a scam.
You know, he's right about that. He is right. It is a scam. And it makes me wonder, really wonder why von Helton didn't just stick to that one particular topic. That Palestine is a scam, is a myth. And why didn't he spend since that time, since 2018 to now, concentrating and focusing on the world's ignoring the Palestinian myth? Why didn't he spend his time and his efforts in pushing the fact that, yes, Palestine is a myth, and you guys should listen. You guys should, he could have done a lot for the whole movement of historical truth, but he just fucked it up because of his nonsense and wizardry, magical crap. Oh, look, people have arrived. Hello, guys. Hello, Shiloh. Hello, Brian. I don't know where you joined in, but we're just going to carry on.
All right. It just is. I'm sorry, but it just is.
It just is.
All right. And here we have Golda Meir. There was no such thing as Palestinians. When was there an independent Palestinian people with a Palestinian state?
Never.
It was not as though there was a Palestinian people in Palestine considering itself as a Palestinian people and we came and threw them out and took their country away from them. They did not exist. Okay, so what she's saying here is that there was nobody there to kick out. Okay, see, the Muslims claim that they were kicked out of their land. This is not true. There was nobody there. There was nobody there. Okay, and there certainly wasn't nobody there in 1923 because the Muslims agreed to vacate the land and go to Transjordan, which they did, and it was agreed to. The Muslims agreed. That's I can't stress that enough. The Muslims agreed.
That's not true. That's not true. The reason why there's so many Palestinians in Transjordan is because in 1967, when Jordan attacked Israel, and Israel smacked Jordan so hard that the Jordanian government and military retreated across the Jordanian River back into Jordan, and so did many of the residents of the Judea and Samaria annexed part of Jordan. Did you know that Judea and Samaria were annexed into Jordan as part of the Jordanian sovereign state? It was. And so anyway, that's why there's so many Palestinians in Jordan, is because they all left from Judea and Samaria when Israel defeated Jordan. Simple.
Agreed to it. Okay, so if anybody is in error, it is the Muslims,
yes,
not the Jews. And I know there's a lot of people out there that hate the Jews. Well, you know what? You're just going to have to grow a spine because the Jews are not guilty this time.
This time, how many of you have been following this channel, and how many times has von Helton just lost it against the Jews?
I don't care what you might say about them in other situations, but in this situation, they are not guilty. Not this time. It's the Muslims that are guilty. It's the Muslims that broke the law in 1923 by crossing the border. And that's the truth.
I don't think so.
And you can get mad at me all you want. I don't give a shit. It's not going to help you. It's just not going to help you at all. Because I'm right. When they crossed that line between the white part and the yellow part, they broke the law. There should be no Muslims in this white part here, this Jewish Palestine part. There's not supposed to be no Muslims in that part at all.
Okay. Bibi, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel, and I know you're watching this channel, and I want you to listen to Von Helton here. There should be no Muslims in Jewish Palestine. But I think that's a little too harsh. I think Von Helton's just being, like he wants to be a king and authoritarian. But I will say this. If any Muslim in Jewish Palestine does not like the fact that there is a Jewish Palestine, then they should be encouraged to change their lives into one of happiness and move to Arab Palestine, or Jordan as they're called today. Tomorrow it will probably be called Palestine, just Palestine. Israel and Palestine on the map as you see it right there.
None. Zero. Nada. Zip. If there are, they are breaking the law as established July 22nd, 1922.
You know something, Tanya? He says, doesn't only say Trump is a Jew, he says Trump is a Kabbalistic Jew or Kabbalah Jew, whatever, and therefore he's not an American because he's a Kabbalistic Jew. That's Von Helton.
That they agreed to, ironically enough. Okay? And that's just the damn truth. Now, I know there's people going to argue and fuss and, that Von Helton, he's just so mean. He's just so mean. Well, whatever, dude. Get mean, you can say I'm mean all you want, but truth of the matter is that is the truth.
The truth the truth of the matter is that is the truth. I want somebody to write that down as a Von Heltonism. The truth of the matter is that is the truth. And I say, clip that.
Look at it. Look at this, man. This thing goes on quite a bit. But the Muslims themselves admit there is no such thing as a Palestinian people, and there never was. It's all a sham. It's all a joke. Sick one at that. Sick joke. All these Israelis that were killed by these so-called Palestinians, and all the food that was destroyed by the so-called Palestinians. Remember, folks, we gave them, the Israelis gave them all kinds of greenhouses full of food. You know what the Palestinians did? They smashed.
He's talking about when the Israelis left Gaza in 2005.
The greenhouses and burned all the food. They did. And the people were starving. But they didn't want to take it because it was given to them by...
Oh, bullshit. How can they have been starving when there were greenhouses full of food that were meant to feed the people? And were feeding the people. They weren't starving. Maybe after the food was burned. Yes, they were starving. But what do you expect?
By the Jews. And so they smashed the greenhouses and burned all the food. That's documented. That's documented. So, anyways, I thought I would share because, in light of the inroads that the president has been making of late, I thought it was important because it really is important. You need to know that the Muslims are starting a bunch of shit in the Middle East and have been for a long time, and that not one word of it is true.
Yeah,
the Jews are in the right this time. And if you're one of these Jew haters, sorry, you're just going to have to.
Von Helton, as you know, is probably one of the all-time biggest Jew haters in modern history. And listen to him.
Accept the facts. The Jews are in the right this time. Whatever else you might believe about them, that's on you.
I agree. I do agree with Von Helton. The Jews are in the right this time. They've been in the right all the time, actually. And they're in the right about a lot of things. This is just one of them.
But this time, this one time, the Jews are right. That
Hello, Lulu. I am well. Thank you for asking. I hope you are too.
land belongs to them. It does not belong to the Muslims. And the Muslims need to vacate and go back to Transjordan per the 1923 British mandate. They are currently breaking, every Muslim that is in Israel right now is breaking the law.
Bob, what are you going to do about it there, Von Helton? I suggest you go to Israel. You remember how you went to Toronto? I mean, you went to the Canadian border in an effort to go to Toronto and solve the Somali terrorist problem, and they wouldn't let you in. Well, why don't you go to Israel and get all those Muslims that are there illegally to get the hell out, to go to where they came from.
Period. End of story. They're breaking the law. So, anyways, I just thought I would, enlighten the people to the truth, which is what I am supposed to be doing as a truther. That's what we do. We bring you the absolute truth, whether you like it or not, in some cases. But yeah, it's true. There is no such thing as a Palestinian. Never was. They don't exist. And the fact that King Herod called that land Palestine a couple of times in the Bible is a moot point, because every other reference to the land, they call it Judea. All right. So anyways, I just thought I'd share. Y'all have a pleasant day and a better tomorrow. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. So, yeah, that was my little... I found that to be the best presentation by Von Helton by leaps and bounds. Because he's right. The Palestinians don't exist. And he got a whole bunch of the bullshit, you got a whole bunch of the details, the finer details wrong. But the big picture, he's correct. So I got to say, I have to agree with Von Helton overall on this one. I never thought that I would ever make a video saying Von Helton was right. But in this case, I have to concede. Von Helton was right. Damn, I hate saying that. You can see in my face that I'm not happy about it. Oh my God. Anyway. It's early in the day. Who knows what's coming? Thank you so much for watching and supporting and buying memberships. And what else is... Oh, and you can buy me a coffee by... Where is it? There it is. Click in the QR code up there somewhere, wherever. I'm trying to find something which is called a thank you for watching. There it is. All right. That's it. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one. I love you, and I appreciate your love back. Goodbye.